Hey guys, welcome back to the Deep Beauty Podcast. My name is Deepa Brar, and I am super excited for today's interview. I have Ebony Jean with us today, and she is an alopecia advocate. She is a content creator, a beauty influencer. She was on the PBS NewsHour at 2022, and she's been touring the country sharing her story at national conferences, and she even has her own hair loss documentary, which is really, really excited. So I'm so excited to have you, Ebony. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Deepa. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm just really like in awe of everything that you share. And I just honestly like your beauty videos too are so good. And I saw that you even like applied for the Sephora squad, like was it last year or the year before?
Yes, so I applied for the support squad beginning in 2020. Oh no, I'm sorry, 2019. And
Oh,
then last
wow.
year I applied in 2021. I was a finalist. I didn't make it as a finalist, unfortunately, but it was still a good experience.
But you made it pretty far, so that's pretty huge. And like, I mean, just to have that representation from the alopecia community is massive.
It is so important, and that's like honestly the biggest reason why I entered Sephora Squad and wanted to be a part of it because we don't have enough representation for bald women throughout
Yeah.
the beauty industry, and that is something I've been working to break for such a long time because we don't see enough of us out here. So yeah, that is definitely something I'm hoping to see, kind of come to fruition one day.
I think it'll happen for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to rewind a little bit and I just want to go over your story. Why don't you share with us like a little bit about like when you first found out about your alopecia, like how long ago was that? And what kind of happened at that time?
When I was 4 years old, I was diagnosed with alopecia universalis, which is the most severe case of hair loss. I was too young to remember what happened, so my mom told me over time. I was at home with her one day as she was combing my hair. She discovered that patches were forming across my scalp, like little small, smooth, round patches. And I know that's typically how alopecia areata gets started.
Yeah.
So after she discovered the patches, she called my doctor, told him what was going on, and then they referred me to a specialist. And once I received like the test results, it was positive for alopecia universalis.
So at 4 years old, oh my gosh, like how do you remember like feeling any type of way when you were that young, or was it more like the emotions you played off from your mom?
Honestly, I was too young to understand what was going on at the time. It didn't really like affect me until beginning grade school. So I would say second grade. And that's when everything just started heightening up as far as my insecurities and walking on pins and needles, if you will. I remember one day, like the school year had just gotten started. I was riding the school bus home, and at the time, my mom made hats for me to wear. So I wore hats to match almost every outfit I owned. And I wore a really nice pink and blue hat to school one day. And when I rode the school bus, these two boys were sitting behind me. To this day, I don't know who they are, but we didn't get down the street 5 minutes, like without any issues until someone decided to be funny and snatch off my hat. So they snatched it off of my head. They tossed it back and forth across the back section. And I was very quiet about it. I tried to ask, can you please give it back to me? They said no. So they just continued. And eventually my hat got towards the middle of the bus and then it went to the front.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I covered my head like, and I was petrified because I was embarrassed. I was in tears. Thankfully, my bus driver already knew that I had alopecia, but she didn't know what was going on in that moment. So when I got to her, she looked at me and her eyes were so red, she started crying and she said, "What happened?" I asked her if she could stop the bus. So she pulled over, had the kids quiet down, and I explained to them, I have I don't have any hair right now. Like, how would you feel if this was you or a friend of yours or somebody else? Like, what I'm going through right now, I can't help it. And so my bus ride home was completely silent until they got to my stop, but that was one of the most devastating days I had ever experienced.
Well, just the fact that you had like the mind to be able to just tell them exactly how you were feeling, like that's pretty amazing, especially at such a young age.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. And I didn't think how it would affect me mentally, and I even like vocalized how it made me feel at the time. Because, kids sometimes they're too scared to admit how they feel, but I'm glad that I was able to say something because it was just not a pretty sight. It wasn't at all.
Huge. I mean, I love the fact that you stood up for yourself and I'm sure like that kind of probably helped stop them from doing that again. Yeah, that's good.
It did. Yep, it did. In fact, my mom had me stop riding the bus for a while until I made, and I'm still shocked to this day, I made the courageous decision to get back on there. And I was not even 7 years old yet. So I told my mom, I want to get back on the bus. And she just looked at me. She said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah, I want to, get on it." So she was about to drive me to school, but when she saw my bus, that's when I made that decision and she let me get on that for the day and told me to have a good day, give me my lunch and kiss and everything. When I got back on the bus, the kids were so surprised to see me. And one thing about my mom, she does not play about her girls. I'm not an only child. I have two other sisters. So she is very protective over us. And, when she has that opportunity to like talk to the kids and talk to even adults about what's going on, there's a greater level of respect, saying, okay, don't mess with her because she has this. But yeah, I was really shocked that I made that decision.
I think it's pretty inspiring, if you ask me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so was there anything at that time that the doctors or just the people around you tried to get you to try to regrow your hair when it was first falling out?
That's a really good question. In fact, I remember going through the topical creams, the shampoos, and there was one, I think, one shampoo that I tried. My mom told me that it left really bad staining on upholstery, like different household items,
Oh,
and it like had a really odd odor to it. So I didn't go through any of the cortisone injections, thank goodness, because I was not ready to handle that. And I also went through other health conditions during my hair loss episodes. But yeah, we tried the topical creams, the shampoos, and there was temporary success, but I could tell those were like not gonna work, because I remember my hair growing back, but it stayed for a short amount of time, so I don't remember how long it stayed exactly, but it did work for a little while.
there any like diet or lifestyle changes that you guys tried as well?
I don't recall any diet changes back then. I would have to talk to my mom about this one, but I know getting older, like I tried cutting out certain things. I know sugar has a lot to do with your diet and and hair loss and things. So I guess now as an adult, I'm being very conscious as to what I'm eating and trying to get better at that. But I do know that changing your diet plays a huge factor in hair regrowth.
And I think back then, like we didn't really know so much about it. I feel like it's just something that has sort of become more public knowledge within the past like five, just like 5 years, five, maybe max 10 years. But with the internet and social media, it's just, it's so much better. Like it's so much easier to share that message with people that are going through it that, there are things that you can do that are natural and that are lifestyle changes. How old were you when like that was it? Like you didn't see any more hair growth at all?
Um, I can recall, I would say three different times. So when I turned 9, I was in the 5th grade, and that's when my hair completely fell out. And I remember this day vividly. I was again at home, and my mom was combing my hair, getting it ready for the night, the night before school. And as she was brushing it up, she noticed that clumps were starting to come out, and she showed it to me. I'm like, oh Lord, here we go again. And I literally was like, you got to be kidding. So I went into the bathroom. My older sister was there, getting ready for school as well. But I just stood in the mirror and watched my mom cut all of my hair off. It's not that she wanted to; she didn't have a choice, and it was really stressful. Like, I remember crying myself to sleep that night because there was nothing that either of us could do. So um, this actually began my wig journey. So my mom made my very first headband wig. Back then, they were not sold in stores. They weren't even thought of. Like, there was no patent idea. So she made my first headband wig, and I remember going to school, people just laughing at me about it.
Oh,
Um, it was it was ridiculous, because I remember going to school late on that very day, and it took my teacher at least 5 minutes for her to calm down the entire class because it went into such an uproar. And I
wow.
walked past everybody just to get to my seat on the other side of the class. I wasn't by the door, I was by her desk, and it was really stressful for me having to go through that, and um all these girls coming up to me, especially being an African American woman. One thing about our culture, we thrive on hair, and it's described as our crown and glory. So when all these other Black girls would come up to me, they would ask, why does your hair look like that? Why do you wear so much weave? What's wrong with you? And all these other absurd questions, and it was just devastating. But the second time my hair tried to come back, I was in high school. So I think I was a freshman. And I remember it was trying to grow back almost like in a pixie cut style, but then it started falling out again. So my
Like
mom,
temporary.
yeah, it was really frustrating to deal with. And I dealt with a lot of rumors, that I had cancer, and kids were really mean to me about it. And it was hard for me to go through that process. And honestly, my hair didn't grow back or try to grow back until I turned 27.
Oh, wow.
This
Okay.
was just, yep, so this was just a few years ago, and it was really pretty. Like, I saw it try to come back in a pixie cut style again, but then it wasn't successful. So, it was emotional.
So 6 years ago, I lost 70% of my hair due to alopecia areata. It happened within the span of 5 months, and I had bald patches, general overall thinning. It was falling out in clumps. It was so super scary. I had no idea what was going on. The only time I had ever heard of alopecia was my one makeup client who had lost all of her hair. She lost her hair off the top of her head, her brows, her lashes, all over her body. She had no hair. I was so scared that I was headed down that same road. So I started to call all of my doctor and dermatologist friends that I knew, and the suggestions they gave for regrowing your hair was to use treatments like steroid injections or steroid creams, minoxidil, those kinds of things. But the problem with those was that they weren't A, guaranteed to work, and B, they weren't guaranteed to last. So I happened to somehow stumble upon the phone number for the head dermatologist for the Navy. And we were both surprised when he picked up the phone. But what he told me came as a total shock to me. He said that your hair is going to do whatever it is going to do, regardless of all the treatments that you're going to try. So what you really need to do is get down to the root issue of why it happened in the first place. That's when I went on full research mode. I scoured every single article that I could find on the internet. I watched all the YouTube videos, and what I found was a total surprise to me. that you could actually regrow your hair by healing your body. So that is what I went on a mission to do. I started to read everything I could on nutrition, on autoimmune disease, on stress management, on lifestyle, and I implemented all of these things week by week. I was implementing something new, and within 3 to 5 months, all my hair loss stopped and my hair started to regrow. It just felt like a total miracle to me. And it was just something that I wanted to share with everyone and anyone that would listen to me. That's when I started to post videos on it, and the response was crazy. I didn't realize that so many of you were going through hair loss as well. So it has become my mission to help as many of you that I can regrow your hair. And not only that, but prevent future fallout. That's why I created the 3 Steps to Regrow Your Hair masterclass, as well as all the resources on my website. You can head over to deepabrar.com/links to watch the free masterclass. Once again, that's deepabrar.com/links. I'm going to put the link in the show notes below, and let's head back over to this episode now.
Like from 4 until 27, like the fact that you still had hair follicles that were alive and like try to regenerate, that is so promising to a lot of people. Like,
Wow.
that's like, because I think that's the fear that a lot of people have, is that when it's been so long that your hair follicles must be dead, like there's nothing that's going to happen. So the fact that you were able to regrow some of your hair, that's pretty huge. And can I ask like how old you are now?
Yes, I am 32 now. I'll be 33 later this year.
You look gorgeous.
Thank you.
So have you tried, in terms of like diet, have you tried the autoimmune protocol diet?
I've heard about that, but I haven't really looked into it 100%. I'll probably do some more research to see like if that's something that would benefit my personal lifestyle and things. But I've heard some, different reviews, and I wouldn't mind checking that out.
It seems to be pretty promising, especially if your hair loss is due to an autoimmune condition, which a lot of alopecia tends to be. And when you had like gone to the doctor or the dermatologist or anything like that, had you ever had a scalp biopsy performed?
Honestly, I don't recall. I don't remember if they did a scalp biopsy, probably since my diagnosis when I was a kid, but I don't think I've had one, growing into adolescence and things.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of doctors will tend to just sort of look at your scalp and tell you, like, give you a diagnosis. But I feel like the scalp biopsy is so conclusive because they take like actual cells and test it under a microscope and take a look at it and examine it. And from there they can do a lot of like sort of blood tests that kind of tell you, kind of hone in on what exactly is going on inside of you. But I mean, that's just, I feel like the more that we know, the more we can advocate for ourselves when we go to the doctor.
Oh, absolutely. That is so important to me, especially um now that we have all the new technology and all the new treatments that are on the market. Like we definitely need to educate ourselves as much as we can. I don't jump on to every treatment or some of the quick fixes that people try to give the hair loss community because just not I don't agree with everything. I'll just be honest. A lot of people who follow me on social media, they would see my appearance and they would take it upon themselves to prescribe their new hair growth formulas or
Yeah.
some hair growth pills, and I personally, if I think it's offensive because if I didn't come to you with any questions or looking for some type of remedy or anything to grow my hair back, don't put it on yourself to try to force that treatment option on the person,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
some people are not ready, they're not comfortable. Some of them are still trying to navigate through alopecia. And, I just had a lot of people back home, coming up to me with these different comments. And, I have this new hair growth formula. Okay, I appreciate you thinking about me, but we didn't have a conversation. I'm just like, kind of back off a little bit, and also when a person has decided to embrace their new look, and it's not to say that I don't miss my hair because I miss it every day, but you have to be comfortable and confident in your skin and knowing that you are enough
Yeah.
and not allowing people to push their opinions or their quick fixes on you. You do what's best for you and not what other people want you to do.
Especially when you're on like such a roller coaster that is hair loss, like the hair loss journey can be
Mhm.
so emotionally taxing. And like when you come to that place, like you said, like within yourself where you've decided that, you know what, I can't keep going through this and I'm going to accept myself, like that is a huge, massive moment. And I feel like, I don't know, it's so inspiring. That's why I wanted to interview you for this podcast because I just feel like your message and just the way you're so confident in sharing everything that you've gone through and like that you've accepted yourself like that, a lot of people need to see that. It's very important, I think.
And I definitely agree. And thank you so much. Like, I never thought that I would be in this place of confidence, because I've always kept this hidden. And with the bullying, the teasing, all throughout my grade school career, and people who I grew up with who I thought were my friends, just the stuff they said to me. They said, "Oh, you're ugly, and you're never gonna be this or that." And a lot of people thought because I don't have hair, that would stop me from being successful or stop me from doing anything in life. And people have to realize that hair doesn't define any of us. I don't care what society tells you or what people see on social media. I just never thought that I would be comfortable, but this year will make 7 years since I went public with my story. And that is so monumental to me because it's it's a very freeing time. And a lot of people did not expect this. A lot of people didn't know, but I'm just really grateful for the love and support of my family, my close friends who knew me growing up dealing with this. And the beauty of it, honestly, were receiving apologies from my childhood classmates. It was incredible. Like I was crying. I was not expecting that. And many of them messaged me on social media saying, "Ebony, I'm sorry." Some of them came up to me in person. Um, and one classmate, he, did something really dumb when we were coming out of high school. He made a hate video about me. And I went through all that cyberbullying, but he took it down and, he suffered the consequences. But he apologized to me several years later. And I said, "You know what?" I said, "I forgive you." And that's so
Big.
important because I know in our community, we tend to hold on to that anger of how people treated us, and we seek revenge so quickly. But I'm just like, no, I'm not going to do that because, and it's not to say that I'm weak because I'm not a weak person. I don't let people walk over me, but you have to tell people how to treat you and what you're not going to accept. So, yeah, just looking back on everything, I'm so grateful, and now I'm able to share and help other people.
So one thing that I wanted to know, like, what was it that inspired you to share your story so publicly?
I love this part. I was actually competing in pageants
Oh,
at the time. I'm a former pageant girl for all
oh,
of
I
you
love
if you love pageants. I competed in the Miss USA system at a local pageant first before going to Miss Michigan USA. So back then, I put alopecia awareness as my platform. A lot of people didn't know what it was. I had a local sponsor, so I was able to go on their local show here at home and explain my story, and also talk about awareness. But in 2016, that's when everything unfolded for me. I got in contact with the National Alopecia Areata Foundation. To this day, they are an incredible support system for the alopecia community. I told them about my platform, my story, and they said, we'll do everything we can to support you. And when I competed in the pageant, I placed in the top 5. I came out as a second runner-up. And from that point, I didn't think that it was going to go any higher. So I was appointed as a legislative liaison, and I started advocating on behalf of people in my home state of Michigan. So I was able to talk to different companies and stations about this story. And when everything unfolded, we went to the national conference in DC. My mom and I did. And that was my first time ever being around people just like me. I seen all these beautiful bald heads throughout the hotel, and I had on my what I like to call my Diana Ross hair. I had on the wig. I had on my big curly wig at the time, and it was super hot. It was like probably 90 degrees
Oh
outside.
my gosh, wow.
And my head was sweating. I said,
Oh,
okay, like I got to take this off, but I was too scared. So someone very kind approached me at the conference. They said, if you've never gone without your wig before, you will by the end of this weekend. And
wow.
I proved them right, because that weekend we had a young adults panel, and I went upstairs to freshen up. My mom was in the room chilling. She just looked at me and she said, "You're at peace." And I didn't realize I was, because I was having so much fun with my new friends and just being comfortable. But I went downstairs to that panel. Something told me to grab the mic. That room was filled with over 500 parents. And I never spoken in front of a crowd that massive. So I just decided to let go. And I encouraged the parents. My mom, she didn't come down until later, but I didn't know I was going to be speaking. So that was just honestly something, I guess, that I needed to do. And she said, that's what you needed to do, just let go for yourself and things. But I'm so happy. To this day, I still get chills thinking about it.
I give me chills. Moms like know everything. I swear to God, like they can just hone in and they know exactly what's going on in you.
They do. And like
Yeah.
she was paying attention so tough. Like and I'm a quiet observer, so like I don't really like figure out what's going on, or I don't really speak up about what's going on until I need to. But yeah, like my mom, she was just watching me the whole weekend, and she said, "You're at peace."
One of the reasons why I wanted to get you on as well is I just feel like with everything that you share on your platform, I really feel like you'd be able to share some great insight, maybe some, I hate to make it sound so trivial and say like tips and suggestions, but just like any advice that you have for young kids that are going through this, high schoolers that are going through this, because you have that experience from such a young age. Is there anything that you would want to let them know that to kind of help them get through hair loss and to be able to like let their personality just come out and shine?
Absolutely. And this is such a sensitive group, because kids, their feelings are so fragile. And I know what, just like you said, what it's like being in this position. Um, don't be afraid to be yourself. I back in the day, it was very difficult for me to fit in. I had friends. Now, I don't want people to think I didn't have any friends at all, because I definitely had a nice, solid group, but I still felt alone. And I want you to know that you are not alone. You have a huge alopecia support system, a huge family that is here to love on you. And just looking at today's era and considering social media, there's so many of us out here now, just sharing our stories on our platforms and doing things to encourage and uplift others. Um, Talk about how you feel. Don't be scared to vocalize that. Talk to a parent, talk to a counselor. If you have friends that you can confide in, talk to them. and I was a very private person. I didn't let everybody in growing up because I felt like the minute I spoke up, people would laugh even more, and I didn't have that confidence then. But if you are in elementary school, middle, high school, please get involved with an alopecia support group. Talk to your friends, family, anyone who makes you feel comfortable. A safe space is so important.
Thank you so much for sharing all that. And I am so happy to have hosted you on this podcast. And I just want to share your platform with everybody. So just let everyone know like where they can find you and like also to what they can expect to see from you going forward.
Yes, so you can find me on social media. I am on Instagram. It is 2 underscores before my name. So 2 underscores Ebony Jean. On TikTok, it's the same name, 2 underscores Ebony Jean. I'm on YouTube, Ebony Jean, and Facebook. You're more than welcome to follow me. So my name is the same across all platforms.
That's
I
convenient.
would love to connect.
And what can we see from you? Like, are you working on any projects or anything like that, or anything special coming up at all?
I don't think I have anything special coming up at the moment. I've been taking my breaks from social media, just kind of collecting myself.
That's
Um, you know,
important.
it really is, because I've been through a lot in this past year, and then going through the loss of friends and some family members. So I've just been taking time away and trying to get my mental health together so I can be at my full best coming back. But I am definitely making my way to YouTube again and trying to make my TikToks because I miss them.
I love
Yeah,
your videos.
thank you. I'm just so excited to be on social media. Like it's fun to me.
It can be a lot of fun to create videos and stuff.
Yeah, like I'm just so amazed at like how confident I am in front of the camera without any hair. I mean, and I can take off my wig whenever I want to or put one on, and it's fun. And sometimes people don't recognize me when I put on hair, but that's the hidden beauty in alopecia. You can switch up your look whenever you want to.
I've seen some of the girls with the different wigs. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
It's so cool. And I love, how they're able to switch up and have all the different hair colors, pink, purple, red. I love it.
Yeah, and there's so many like really cool tools out now, like with the eyebrows that you can like the was like sort of like a temporary tattoo that you can put on, and yeah, it's pretty interesting the things that have come out recently.
It is, in fact, my eldest sister, she bought me a sheet of tattoo eyebrows a couple of years ago, and I didn't know how they would look on me. I was nervous, but whoever came up with that idea is a huge blessing because I have like a stack of them here at home. And I actually started drawing my eyebrows when I was 16.
Oh wow.
Yep, my sister and our mom, they taught me because I grew up wearing glasses. So when I take them off, of course, I don't have like a frame at the top. So they, taught me how to draw, and then every day they were drawing for me until I picked up the skill. So I wasn't always in makeup or playing around with it. I didn't wear any growing up until going to prom and graduating from high school. Like it was really cool.
Yeah. Well, I want to say thank you so much for being so brave and so courageous, and like I mean everything that you share on your platform is very inspirational, and I feel like it's so important. It's such important work that you do. So thank you so much. And thank you so much for being here with me today. I appreciate it.
It's an honor. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And anytime I'm able to share my story and be a blessing for others, that really means a lot to me.